This is it. Guys, this is it. We're doing it. We made it. Today we are headed to the smallest canal in the UK. And to get there, we're gonna have to go through the engineering marvel that is the Anderton Lift. Welcome to DownieLive Travels by Boat. This week we're riding the Trent and Mersey Canal, which was the first long-distance canal in the UK. I'm Mike, riding on 4 narrowboats on 4 canals with my partner Nicole, hoping to cross the highest canal aqueduct in the world and pass through the longest and deepest canal tunnel in the UK. Now, last week was our first experience on a narrowboat, cruising through the Monmouthshire and Brecon Canal in the stunning Brecon Beacons National Park in Wales. We've booked all of our boats through drifters.co.uk, which brings us here to Black Prince Holidays and Acton Bridge on the Trent and Mersey Canal. In order to take on the challenges of the Trent and Mersey, I've invited along some local helping hands. Hello! I love having new crew members on board. This is a good start. Come on up, Helen. This is our good friend, Helen.
Hello.
And if you're a long-time subscriber, you may remember, come on up, Gareth, who I spent 2 weeks in Las Vegas with, which is probably 2 weeks too long in Vegas. But, we had a good time.
Oh yeah, I thought you were going to say 2 weeks too long with me.
The reason we came to do this trip at this time of year is because they just got married and we got invited to the wedding and put it all together, so thanks. And so after a great wedding, this boat trip is a fun little celebratory mini-moon for them. A time for Gareth and Helen to relax, and for me to catch up with an old friend. Cheers!
Cheers!
So welcome, and Nicole, you're still here too. But in reality, I don't think Nicole and I are ready for the challenges that are to come on this canal. And we need Gareth, a local who's been narrowboating before, to be our team leader.
If you've never done a lock before, it can be really, really scary to do the first one. But once you've done that, you'll realize that it's actually absolutely fun.
Doing the lock is the most dangerous part. That's where boats can be flooded or sink if they get stuck on the sill. That's where all the accidents happen. The speeds otherwise on the boats are so slow that if you bumped into anything, it doesn't do anything. But the locks are actually where you can end up sinking a boat.
They're also really dangerous for like falling in. The last thing you want to do is fall into a lock, because as the water's rushing throughout, that's when you can drown. So we don't want to do that.
So the last episode we didn't have any locks. This is you're building the tension now. This is supposed to be an enjoyable, relaxing experience, and now here we are. But until then, we can enjoy this amazing waterway, which is cut into this otherwise pristine countryside. And well, yeah, spend some time with our new guests.
Have you found a suitable eatery for tonight?
You have to admit, it's a little wider and straighter than last week so far. That's not a bad thing. This actually makes for slightly easier and more relaxing cruising. Cows might be one of my favorite animals. We've only just started our second canal here, and this is reaffirming why I love narrowboats. But very little can compare to watching a 57-foot long narrowboat in a canal cross across an aqueduct with a river below. I mean, what a reminder of the feat of engineering that this canal is, especially because it was built in the 1800s. Back then, this was the way to ship cargo, but now it's a leisure activity, and we pass under roads and often go unnoticed from the outside world. All right, enough of the drone shots. Let's prepare for our first challenge of the day. Wow.
That one's yours. Helen's eaten hers already.
Mustard?
A little mustard, a little butter.
Helen didn't want to eat on camera. Yeah. Oh, it's much better cruising with friends. This is great. So we've reached our first tunnel. It's the Saltersford Tunnel, and you can see it's right here. That little white light is a boat coming through the tunnel. Because the tunnel's so long and it's so difficult to see through, it's set times of when you can go through. So if you only have a 20-minute window from the 30 to the 50, and then there's kind of like a 10-minute buffer in the opposite direction, they'd be able to go at the top of the hour until 20 minutes after. We're gonna tie off and just wait until we can go through. This whole area is for boats waiting specifically for the tunnel, and we're the first of 2 so far. Currently walking up and over the tunnel just to see what the other side is like. That little brick tower in the middle of the field here is actually the ventilation shaft at the top of the tunnel. Because in the old days they used to use coal and all sorts of vessels, and they needed to clear it out. Excuse me, ladies, do you know that you're directly on top of a tunnel at the moment? Does that bother you at all? Does that help with anything? No? Just a cow's field on top of this tunnel. We have a couple things we need to get ready to go through the tunnel.
Tell us, Captain.
Who's driving us through the tunnel?
I'm driving us through the tunnel.
There we go. Headlights, skipper. To give us depth, we got to turn on all the lights indoors so that you can see them come through the windows. There we go. This way the lights will shine out the windows onto the walls and we'll be able to see the distance, because otherwise it's just so dark you can't see it all. Gareth, can you give us, as we get to the tunnel, give us the old double toot on the horn. The old double toot. That's a technical canal boat, narrowboat term I've definitely know is officially true. There it is. Here we go. This is such a quiet, ominous moment. Just going into darkness. Not a sound. Wow. This is so cool. Look at the reflection. How cool is that? I should probably sit down for this. As we enter the tunnel, you'll notice that this is the first time where there isn't a towpath. As we saw last week, these narrowboats were originally pulled by horses, which is why there's a towpath alongside the canal for the entire distance, except for tunnels. Instead, the boatmen would lay on their backs and leg their way through the tunnel, pushing themselves along using their feet on the walls. I'm just thankful we don't have to do that today. These tunnels are just another piece of narrowboating that make it actually an adventurous experience rather than the gentle cruise that most people think it is. Do you have any idea what's above us right now, Helen?
No, absolutely not.
If I told you it's cows, would you believe me?
No.
It's cows. I went up there, there's a cow field. And this is that ventilation tower we saw. So the cows are right about here somewhere. We made it, Gareth. We're still floating. We do this all day. And
we can.
We're going to. This is it. This is tunnel number 2. So this is the Barnton Tunnel, and it's 525 meters long, so a little bit longer. The tunnel's clear, so we're good to go. Give it the old toot toot. Beep beep. Hello. Empty. Good to go. This is mesmerizing.
It looks like there is nothing there.
Right.
It looks like it's just a whole pipe and we're just...
Since this tunnel is straight, there's no need to wait for a specific time to pass through. Just check ahead, and if there's no boat coming, you're free to enter. I will admit, these tunnels are a little cooler inside than the air outside, so while they are interesting to ride through, I do prefer being, back out here. So, we've successfully survived 2 tunnels, but we've yet to go through our first lock. Don't worry, that will come. Now, a little interruption for a bathroom break, because today's video is sponsored by True Earth. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, Mike, isn't True Earth the company that does plastic-free packaging and the amazing laundry eco strips? And the answer is yes. But they also make their toilet bowl cleaner eco strips. Look, let's face it, we all have to clean this thing and nobody likes it. But True Earth has made it easy, effective, and eco-friendly. Along with all True Earth products, the packaging is plastic-free. This is fully recyclable, and let's face it, at this time of year there's more packaging than ever, so the more we can reduce, the better. So, how does it work? Simple. Turn it around, rip open the packaging, pull out a strip. You only need to use one, by the way. You take the strip, and you throw it in the toilet. And now, you let it dissolve. And then, just like you would clean any other toilet, you pull out the brush, you scrub the bowl and underneath the rim, and then you flush. I admit, it's not a very fun product, but really, it cleans the toilet just as well as any normal cleaner, and honestly, it's plastic free. If you want to try it for yourself, click the link in the description below the video and use discount code DOWNIE for 10% off. Thank you, True Earth, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to the canals. What else does the Trenton Mercy have for us in the meantime? Hi, puppy. Hi, puppy. Wow, that's a big family of swans. Well, I don't want to spoil the evening, but is anyone else getting hungry? If you want to park in front of this boat, this up on the left is the Stanley Arms. Probably a good spot for dinner tonight.
Great.
I don't think we could have picked a better spot. Moored up right in front of the pub we're going to for dinner. Love it. Private restaurant pub mooring. Ah, the Stanley Arms, the perfect place for a canal side dinner. Except for one thing. Monday, no service. No food service. If you saw last episode, we had the same issue. I'd like to say I thought we were living the dream when we literally moored at the pub, and now we're walking through an industrial park to find dinner. Oh, we made it. It's like an oasis. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right, food acquired. Now back to the boat. It was just a quick catch-up dinner tonight because we have to get up early for the Anderton lift. What a nice slow way to start the morning.
Oh yeah.
Now, before we get to our first lock, we're scheduled to pass through the Anderton lift. This large structure will lower or lift your vessel 50 feet from the Trent and Mersey Canal above to the River Weaver below. It is designated as a scheduled monument and is known as one of the 7 wonders of the waterways. Impressively, it was built in 1875 and ran for over 100 years until it closed due to corrosion in 1983. Thanks to restoration, it was able to reopen in 2002, and today we get to ride it. So this is the entrance for us to get in, but you can see it's kind of at an angle. We won't be able to make the corner into the waiting area, so we're gonna have to go ahead, and I'm gonna pull my first winding turnaround, 3-point turn. Well, we'll see how many points it takes. All right, couple obstacles here. Got to avoid the ducks on the right. Go full hard lock here. All right. So far, so good. The problem with driving this isn't only its length, it's also its weight. It doesn't stop like a car or even a truck. I've done it. Feeling pretty proud, if I do say so myself. And we are being guided onto the Anderton lift with Jason here from the Canal River Trust. Pleasure to meet you.
All right there.
All right. So how do you describe the Anderton lift to people?
So basically it's 2 large tanks connected to each other by some hydraulic rams, and they lift or lower narrowboats 50 feet.
And the purpose was to replace a lock because you can go much higher, 50 feet, rather than a lock going 15 feet.
Because of the amount of traffic here at the time, we'd have needed 5 10-foot deep wide locks, which is quite considerable. So basically when it was originally built, the lift was built on an island.
Oh really?
And had a basin going underneath it. So instead of building an embankment out to the lift, they had to build an aqueduct.
Right. So it's basically an elevator for narrowboats.
Absolutely, yeah.
But in order, because boats normally sit at the top of an embankment, a hill, you've had to build the aqueduct so we can get flat out to it. So we're currently in the aqueduct, and this is going to close behind us. This is the gate. Keep all the water in.
That's the main difference between the lift and lock system is that the water we're sat in now stays with us, and basically we then sit in a big tank of water and go down in that tank of water and then get let out the other end.
I mean, it's a simple concept, but it's a huge, complicated machine to make it work. Those are the gates that's going to seal us in, so they sit in the water, hence they drip when you go through. So we tie to the wall so we don't float around.
When that comes down, that will seal this as a tank of water, and just the other side of that, attached by a small lever, is the aqueduct gate. So again, that will seal the water into the aqueduct. So it doesn't fall all over the top of us.
It doesn't come pouring down. And that's it. We're dropping, which means the other caisson should be coming up. It's very smooth. And so remind me, we are going down 50.4 feet. And how long does it take for us to drop?
It takes about 15 minutes for the actual drop. The whole process takes around 35 minutes with the gates and everything.
So I guess this is halfway, 25 feet. So it's not exactly like an elevator where you come in one door and go back out the same door. You come in and you go out the other side, which works. So you're always pointed in the correct direction.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
So
we've reached bottom.
We've reached the river level now.
Brilliant. For 1875, brilliant.
So you're about to experience the best view of the Anderton boat lift, which is from the river, looking back up to it.
And this is why they call it the what?
The Cathedral of the Canals.
The Cathedral of the Canal. A bit of industry built in the 1800s for us to enjoy as a recreation in the 2000s. I love that. Now that we're at the bottom, Jason's going to give us a quick little tour of the River Weaver here, pointing out a few of his favorite sites.
The canal network within the country, within England and Wales, is over 2,000 miles.
2,000 miles of canals.
And it's an absolute hidden gem. During the Second World War, because metal and steelwork was in short supply, they actually started making boats out of concrete.
I love to see man-made things be taken back by nature. We've just left the Anderton boat lift back there, and around the first bend is pure nature, and this, you just said, is a nature park. But to think that this was one of the biggest industry waterways in the country at the time, and it's just completely back to nature. We're really lucky to have him take us along and share a lot of his local knowledge with us. So you were saying this is Northwich, or
So this is Northwich Town Centre, so it's Northwich.
And
so the witch means salt.
because we're on the salt mine.
So you've got Northwich, Leftwich, Droitwich, they're all salt towns.
And we're seeing the back of buildings.
Seeing the back of the buildings here, yeah, there was a period during the 70s and 80s where a lot of the building work in Northwich turned its back on what was an industrial river at the time.
Hide it from the public when it's a big industrial, dirty place.
Absolutely.
But now that it's a recreational spot,
the plan is to start turning these buildings around.
more patios and walkways on the water side. So really the river is what built these towns, but now it's actually changing the town.
It is, yeah.
Wow, okay, so here's the swing point. So the bridge swings off that, and this was the first electric swing bridge in the UK.
Town Bridge and Hayhurst Bridge were two of the very first electrically operated pontoon swing bridges.
These little bits of history and information likely go unnoticed by many and honestly have zero impact on my life, but while I'm here on the boats, I find it fascinating. But it's time to turn around and head back up the River Weaver. We are riding back up the Anderton Lift to the Trent and Mersey Canal. And actually riding it a second time is a little more fun because I actually know how it works now and I can just sit back and enjoy the ride. I mean, what an impressive piece of engineering. I love this kind of stuff, and the fact that it's still operating is amazing. There's just so much history out here on the canals. But now, we're back to continue our journey. Take us away to the next stop. We still have to get to the UK's smallest canal. And we also haven't gone through a lock yet. I think we're gonna come across one of those soon. Sorry, can we just cut all the music and excitement for a second? I just want you to hear what it's really like out here. Listen to that. It's just the sound of birds and a slight hum from the engine. The only word I have for this, serene. Okay, back to the music. And after that hidden, serene, scenic part of the canal, we come out next to a small shipyard, or I guess here they're called boatworks. Either way, we're now coming into more of an industrial area. This is a salt mine that's still active. You can really see what it would have looked like 100 years ago on the canals with just cargo barge after cargo boat coming through. And after another hour or so of beautiful cruising, you can start to feel the anxiety building on the boat as we approach our first lock. So we're gonna have a little team meeting because we are approaching our first lock, which is the big lock. It's the double-sided, double-wide lock. And this is exactly why I brought Gareth along. He just doesn't know it yet.
In an ideal world, we would team up with another canal boat going this way, and we go in together, and our first experience of a lock is very much assisted by people who are more familiar with the lock.
Yes.
I guess what we're saying is we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know anything. Does anyone have a particular role they would like?
I'd like you to guide me on the lock.
Yeah, let's
Perfect.
lock team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Driver.
All right, settled. And just as I expected, he stepped up to be the team lead. This is it. The moment of truth. Can we survive our first lock? Step one, crew disembarks. Okay, the crew is ashore. Looks like the lock is closed and full. This is my first time going through a lock, and there will be many more after this. So I hope we can get this right. I will say, at least there are no gongoozlers watching us. That's embarrassing. Gongoozler, technical term for people who watch you go through locks.
So we're gonna let the water out of this lock, and we probably only need to open one gate because it's a double width. You know what you're doing?
They're opening the paddles to lower the water level in the lock so that they can open the gates to let me in. Oh my gosh, we're doing this. Remember, even I'm new to this and looking to Gareth for guidance. So I need to go right up against the wall at the front, Gareth? Is that what it is? Helen, do you remember? Okay, next step. Gareth is gonna close the door behind us. We will be locked in the lock. Oh, we do indeed. We're right next to a pub. We do indeed have a couple of gongoozlers. Honestly, I feel like I got the easy job. I just hope my team knows what they're doing with the lock gates. Luckily, Gareth has done this a bit growing up with his family, but now he's in a leadership role. So once I drive in the gates, they'll close them behind me. You're a beast, Gareth! Then they start to let the water into the lock from the canal above to float our boat up to equal level with the upper canal.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to listen when the water stops, and then we'll do it again.
This process takes about 10 minutes. It's kind of like filling a bathtub. If you don't know, a lock is a mechanism to float your boat up or down to a canal at a different elevation. In this case, we're trying to go up about 8 feet. Last foot of water coming in. It feels like the calm before the storm. That was too smooth so far. I don't want to jinx it. I should probably add that once you know what you're doing, locks are actually not that difficult and they can be quite safe if operated correctly. The problem is that this is our first time and there's no one here to help us.
Yeah, Lynn!
With a little bit of encouragement from Nicole, the forward gates are opened and out we go. And that is how boats go up and down in elevation and canals. That's it, that's our first lock. And after that long, hard day, well, I think we're just gonna pull over here at the appropriately named pub, the Big Lock, for a traditional British supper. Shrimp scampi, steak and ale pie with mushy peas, burger, classic. Turn off the disco lights. All right, good night, you two.
Good night.
See you in the morning. And we need a good night's sleep because today is the day that we'll finally make it to our destination, the shortest lock in the UK. Morning. Let's go stretch our legs before we hit the road and go for a walk on the footpath. And it's not a great start for everybody. Looks like someone's mooring came loose last night or this morning. I think we should knock. They must be in town. Oh yeah. Here's their pin. Yeah, they've come loose. Do we try and pull it in? This is the kind of situation where you ask, what would you want someone to do for you? I would want someone to pull my boat in. This is just another unique challenge of living on a boat.
Well, you've moved it a bit.
I learned last week that the narrowboating community looks after one another, and we're a part of that community now. So it's only fair that we do our part to help. The trick is, you tie it back with, I presume, a different knot than they used, because then when they get back, they see someone else tied it for them. So at least they learn that it was out. Okay, now we're soaking wet. Let's get rolling. And away we go. He's talking to his boat neighbors about, someone tied me up. Did my knot hold? Yeah, you're welcome. No, I was out for a walk and you were right across. Boating in the rain isn't the most desirable, but we have to push on and find the shortest canal. Of course, before we can get to the shortest canal, we've come across our next challenge. You see, just on the other side of Middlewich, which is this cute little city, is our first lock flight. A flight of locks is multiple locks back to back with a rest chamber in between. As you can see, these locks are only a single boat width. And since this one is so deep, it's mighty intimidating down here, which is why I've given Gareth the job of driving the boat. Knowing that we worked well together as a team yesterday has us feeling pretty good about these locks this morning. In fact, we're working so efficiently that we're even getting ahead of ourselves. And while Helen and I are here, Nicole has gone ahead to make sure the third lock is in the position it needs to be for us to go in quickly. Each lock takes about 15 minutes to fill with water, and with waiting for other boats, these 3 locks will take us over an hour just to get 500 meters down the canal. But that's pretty representative of life on a narrowboat. Slow and steady wins the race. And these locks will definitely get you sweating. Well, in those 3 locks, we went from downpour to almost sun out. All right, we're ready to push on. The shortest canal can't be that much further, can it? Well, in fact, it's just a mile away. I chose the shortest lock as our destination almost at random. I'm someone that doesn't do very well aimlessly wandering. I need a goal to focus on, and this lock seemed interesting and was a reasonable distance from our starting point. It seemed like something achievable, something for the whole crew to work towards. And after 2 days of tunnels, 3-point turns, boat lifts, and locks, we're about to make it. And I'm really hoping that I haven't built this up too much. This is it. Guys, this is it. We're doing it. We made it.
All right.
And finally, we arrive at a T intersection. We're straight into the UK's shortest canal.
And then a lock.
And then a lock, which leads us into the next canal.
Got it.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So the canal is too short for us to wait for the lock. Yeah, once they come out, we'll head in.
Well, you're not getting water.
No. And with an intersection comes traffic. Okay, so we have one boat coming through the lock, one waiting for the lock. We're waiting for it. We have a boat behind us waiting to go in, and a boat coming the other direction also waiting to go in. There's a boat coming out. This is mayhem. Hey guys, are we ready to go? We gotta back up. Now he's gonna go. Looks like this is a busy canal. Gareth and Helen just went through the stress of a wedding. This is supposed to be their relaxing getaway, and I've never seen such vocal gongoozlers before.
Turn the tiller the other way and go forward.
and I'll pull you right
Go
around.
forward. Hit it hard.
This is not what Gareth signed up for.
What?
On and off, he said.
On and off.
Hard first, hard.
In fact, one of the gongoozlers has a specific comment about what I should do with this video footage of us trying to take this corner. All right.
Photographed that manoeuvre, did you?
Yeah, this is it.
I think you should delete it, buddy.
But we've made it. Thank you for your help.
It's all right, no problem.
Thank you.
This is it. We're officially on the Wardle Canal, 154 feet long. This is it. From that entry point to that canal lock, it's only 154 feet long. That was our most stressful experience on the canal so far.
And when he says our most stressful, mainly just mine. Because you were just up there flying the drone, holding the camera.
But look at us. This canal suddenly has us bickering with one another. This is supposed to be a relaxing vacation for Gareth and Helen.
What you've got to realise is that people are there to help you, but because it's quite noisy, they end up shouting and it comes across quite aggressive.
Yeah.
So, and you think they're having a go at you, but actually they're just saying it so that you can hear and so you can actually get to where you want to go.
That's a great point.
Unless they were really mad.
They say the Wardle Canal starts at Lock 1 and ends at Lock 1. Okay, let me quickly tell you about this canal that we've spent 2 days to come see. Then I need to fix this vacation for Gareth and Helen. So you might ask, why does the Wardle Canal exist if it's so short? It's right between two very popular and two very profitable canals, and they thought they could profit by controlling the connection between the two. So this obviously was the old toll house, and they would weigh the boats, the barges as they came through, charge a hefty fee, and off they would go onto the Shropshire Union or onto the Trent and Mersey, depending on which way they're going. So not a very big canal, but definitely an important one. Honestly, as you come through it today, you wouldn't even notice that this is a different canal than the one you were just on. Do you enjoy the locks?
When they're not this stiff, they're good fun.
But we can't end here. Let's keep cruising and end this episode on a high note, somewhere less stressful.
Perfect. Yeah, it is weird how it's really chilled out until there's like loads of
7
people,
boats in one
way
go.
too many people trying to give you instructions.
Yeah.
That was really stressful.
That was stressful.
For the first time, we're cruising without a plan. In fact, they say the Shropshire Union Canal is one of the most rural and isolated waterways, often with no towns for miles, which is exactly what Gareth and Helen have come for. Lunch is served!
Oh yeah.
Always a crowd pleaser. Now, Nicole and I are going to give Gareth and Helen a little time together on their mini-moon, which means that Nicole and I actually get to spend some time together too. So often along the canals, your time is focused on steering, or other boats, or working the locks, that even though you're together, you're actually not spending quality time together. The slower-paced Shropshire Union here is finally giving us that time. And without phone service out in the middle of nowhere out here, we're finding some old-school ways to entertain ourselves.
There was a piece of glass, Miss Mary sat upon it and broke her little ass.
Ask me no more questions,
I'll tell you no more lies. The boys are in.
That reminds me of something I used to do 60 years ago.
They're still doing it. Us young hip kids.
Snug as a bug, this one.
Helen, Helen.
You can do it. Helen, take us in. Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. You're clear. You're good.
My wife.
But of course, the challenges are never over. So one thing we're gonna have to keep an eye on is our water level. We've just gone below a quarter. So we're gonna have to start doing the old, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. We gotta find a spot to fill that up soon. I bet you that water point is the black post with the white top. Team springing into action. All right, let's do garbage. Off to dinner. The canals might just be my new favorite place in the world. And it's not because they're easy, but challenging. And of course, it's always more fun to have good friends along for the ride. So thank you, Gareth and Helen. I hope we didn't ruin your mini moon. And it seems that our reward tonight is this lovely sunset. And I think after the day we've had, we've earned ourselves a pint at this canal-side pub, the old Bar Bridge Inn, which is where I'm going to leave you. Until next week, which is worth coming back for, as we return to Wales to ride on the UK's highest and longest canal aqueduct. So make sure you have the subscribe button and the bell clicked so you don't miss episode 3 of DownieLive Travels by Boat.